Hello everybody and welcome to Greg's Vintage Workshop, where I'm working to restore history one piece at a time. Tonight we're going to be doing part 3 of the Minerva PortaPal Model 729. In part 2 we got it electrically functioning and doing a pretty good job, got the Bluetooth working, etc. In part 3 we're going to continue down that path in the fact that we're going to make things a little bit better. My comments in my last video, part 2, I had a couple gentlemen, Gar was one of them, that suggested that I shouldn't be shorting the post in that 3.5 millimeter jack for the Bluetooth, that I should be using two 1K resistors in series to connect them together. And so I did that. So we'll take a look at that. And then I also put a new potentiometer / on-off switch in it. I had one on order, and even though the one started working, I decided to go ahead and replace it. So I did that, and then I added wiring for an LED light, which I haven't received yet as of time of making of this video. But that will finish up the electrical portion of the radio. Mainly in part 3, I'm redoing the cabinet. And for those of you who are purists, you may not want to watch this video because you'll probably consider it blasphemy when you see what I do to this radio. However, that being said, it's my radio, I can do whatever I want to with it. So, versus keeping it in my basement, because my wife said it was so ugly she didn't want it upstairs, and I thought it was pretty ugly myself, I decided to make it the way I wanted to make it. So, again, if you're a purist that don't believe in modifying anything, then beware. But I've already modified it anyway by putting Bluetooth on it and making it no longer a portable. It's AC only, so is what it is. So anyway, after this long introduction, without further ado, let's take a look at this Minerva radio. Okay guys, I'm looking at this Minerva PortaPal cabinet, and I gotta tell you, this thing's ugly. When I saw it, it was unique, and I liked it because it's unique, and I like unique things. But it's ugly. In my opinion, it's ugly. I need to clean it up. I tried cleaning it up already. I started with the back, and it's cleaner, but not a lot cleaner. And I don't know if you can see in the camera or not, but this is like discolored. There's a big area here that's like almost an orange color, and then this is more of the yellow beige, and then of course you got the discoloration here. This is some sort of fabric, and I'm inclined to try and get the fabric off of this thing and refabricate it with some sort of fabric. I don't know what yet. I mean, I could paint this too, kind of like I did the BR44, but I just don't think it'd come out looking right. So I'm going to try and disassemble this somewhat and see if I can figure out how I can possibly recover this. I mean, I can see the seams on the fabric here on the corners. I can see that they've got, well, like one piece going around the bottom. This grill is actually held on with little bitty teeny screws, little Phillips screws. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is try and see if that will come out if I take those screws out. So let me get a screwdriver and see if we can do that. Alright, got me a little bitty Phillips screwdriver. Let's see if these come out and if that will come off. Fairly long screw. Now this, I can see this almost looks like Bakelite. Could be plastic, could be Bakelite. It looks like it's broken right here in this corner, so that's not good. But I may be able to do something with it with some epoxy, possibly. Plan on having this thing where my wife and I can use it. That's kind of why I put Bluetooth on it. But I want it to look halfway attractive. I mean, I'm not trying to keep it original, obviously, with everything you guys have seen me do to it already, so the cats are running around down here. Hopefully they don't bump my tripod. I think it's going to come up. Alright. Yeah, I think it's Bakelite. And there's the corner that's broke out. I still got the corner. Right here, there's a little bitty piece of corner. So I don't want to lose that. Alright, now that's just sitting there. I think it was originally glued to this. Let's see if we can get that off of there. It's also adhered to the grill cloth, which obviously is yellowed. This actually is not in horrible shape. It's kind of, obviously I'm going to have to heat that and flatten it back out. I can try and clean some of this glue off of it. But the A on the America is kind of messed up, and I think the reason being is that's kind of like, you can see through the paint right there. I think I need to put a little bit of paint, probably about this color, over that, and I think it will fix that a little bit. I think you'll still see it, but other than that, it's in pretty good shape. Now this is stapled in place, this grill cloth. Piece of cardboard for the grill cloth, that is. Grill cloth as well. Unfortunately, I think I took, this is kind of like cardboard. Depending upon how this comes out, I may have to make a new piece of board for it. This comes in from the back or from the front, or a combination of the two. Looks like a combination of the two. I see some staples down here and staples over here. See if I can push these over, get them loose. It's funny because it's on top of the bottom from inside, but it's on the outside of a bar that's across the top. There, I think I got it. There we go. Yeah, it's kind of stained. It's not horrible, but it's definitely stained. I could probably reuse this cardboard. Now let's look at this. So I got the Minerva badge there. They've got staples in here I got to pull out. Not sure what holds that Minerva badge on. I think it's a little nail. Yep. There we go. Now, we got the handle, which is actually in good shape other than being ugly. But I might be able to do something, either get a different handle or somehow recover it to match whatever I do to the outside of this. But it looks like it's got some bent over tabs that hold it in place on each side. Let's see if we can get those open. straighten them out. I think I can straighten them out. I got them bent enough I can get a pair of pliers on them. I think I can straighten them out. There we go. Alright, there it is. Somehow get this fabric off and use it as a pattern, or just get new fabric and glue it on. I don't know. Obviously the feet are off or broken off, so we're gonna have to get new feet for it. I've got some feet. I don't know that they're the exact right size for the feet. Alright, let me figure out what I'm going to do next with this, and I'll bring you back. Alright, so here's what's going on, guys. I got the front cleaned up. This is Bakelite front. Cleaned up pretty good. I glued that corner that was broken off back on it, which is this corner right here. But the fact that it remains here, this is a very unique radio. It's also a very ugly ass radio, and I really don't like this fabric. I know that this is cheap wood, probably plywood, cheap wood underneath it. I was trying to figure out the best way to redo this thing, and I went up and talked to the wife about it. She agrees it's an ugly ass radio. She doesn't like any of my ideas for redoing this. I'm planning on stripping all this material off, and when I strip it all off, I'll probably sand the whole cabinet down and see what it looks like. I may come back right here and put a veneer strip where this resides, going down the sides and across the top. I don't know. Until I get it sanded down, I won't know. But that's what I'm getting ready to do, is go ahead and strip this material off here the best I can, sand it down, and see what it looks like, and then I'm going to go from there. But for now, that's the plan. We decided we're not putting the handle back on it, since it's no longer a portable radio anyway, since I made it 120 volt and not battery operated. So that's the plan. Let me tear this thing up and see what it looks like, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so I got the cloth all off of it. I got the glue all off of it. And as I suspected, it's just cheap plywood. That's what I knew it would be. So now I got to go back and fill in the defects. So I'm going to fill in these holes where the handle were. And there's various areas of the radio where there are holes, hole there. There's some area here that is a defect that they had some wood filler in that came out basically. Just all over the radio there's some various defects. Obviously it's plywood, so there's a lot of porosities. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing this, but there's porosities all on the edge of the plywood there, all along the edge of the plywood here. You know, there's a crack in the front that runs right here. So here I got to go back with some wood filler and fill all of the defects. And then once I fill all the defects, I'm going to stain it and tone it. And I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do here. I'm probably going to go really dark in the center section because that's where the dark alligator pattern was. Go really dark, almost to a black. And then the rest of this will be lighter, but not light like this. It's still going to be like a walnut, but there'll be a contrast between the dark center and the dark sides and the rest of this. And then I think what I'm going to do is highlight these grooves with some possibly white or possibly gold down the sides and on the top. I'll put highlight in there to make it stand out. I'll have to use some stain on it. I'll have to use some toner because the areas where I have to use the wood filler are not going to take stain the way the rest of it will, so I'll have to use some toner to try and bring it all together. So I'm not going to show you the process of me going in and filling all these defects. I very well may bring you back once I get them filled and sanded before I do any color on it. I think it actually turned out pretty good. There was something I did want to show you guys though. Let me see if I can get you where I can show you this. Okay, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this or not, but what I wanted to show you was when I was cleaning this cabinet up, there's a stamp inside here on the bottom, and I want to zoom you in here and hope that you can read that. Basically says Wood Industries Inc., and I believe it's saying May 7th, 1947. So the cabinet at least was made in 1947. I was trying to date this radio. I said around 1948, 1949ish, I think. And I think the cabinet was made in 47, so how soon after that the radio was made, I'm not sure. But I thought that was interesting. Pretty cool stuff. So one of the things that one of my viewers, Gar, I believe is his name, suggested in my last video after watching it was that on my Bluetooth jack that I needed to not short the two together like I had it. He suggested that I connect to one of them and then use two 1K resistors in series and connect them together with that. So I took his advice and that's what I've done, and we'll see how that works out. But I want to show you that. I got that on there and I'm going to put some heat shrink on it and call that done. Thanks, Gar. And of course I also modified my schematic accordingly, although I do notice that where I put that 0.005 capacitor, that I'm actually using a 0.033, so I'll have to go back and change this once more to get it right. Okay guys, so I figured I'd show you where I'm at right at the moment. So I got the new pot installed. This is the new pot, the 500K potentiometer. Got that installed. Got the length adjusted right so that it's the right length. And then you see these two wires running over here. These are new wires that are installed to install LED lighting. And I've got a cat meowing in the background making a ton of noise. So I've got LED bulb coming for this, and I don't know the actual size of the LED bulb. I just know that it's a 120 volt bulb. Therefore I have tied into ground, and I have tied into my switch down here. I don't know if you can see down there a little white wire going to the switch. That is for the bulb. So I made my wires nice and long because I don't know how I'm mounting it yet or where I'm mounting it yet. But once the bulb comes in and I can figure out what socket I need, or if I use a socket at all, I may just solder right to the bulb. We'll see what we get. But that's where I'm at right now. And I also, here is the finished Bluetooth jack with the two 1000 ohm resistors intact in there. So I got that all. And I also made the wire longer. I rewired it with longer wire because it wasn't going to go exactly where I wanted it to go in the cabinet. So now I've got enough wire length to do that. So we'll come back. And I got some new grill cloth installed. This is actually grill cloth from my Philco 4158, but I reversed it. And of course I stripped the back off, cleaned it all up. I preserved this original decal that was on here and got all the rust off of the brackets, and then I shot clear coat on it. And if we flip it over, this is the back side, kind of like a particle board. Same thing here, cleaned all the rust off here, off of these, and then covered this with clear coat so they shouldn't rust again. But remember, this had the covering on it, just like the rest of the chassis did.